Yeah. Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani from New Hampshire. Today could be Rudy Giuliani from Washington, D.C., and more specifically than that, Rudy Giuliani from one block from where he used to live, the Supreme Court of the United States, with whom I have the honor of having argued, not argued with them, maybe, argued in front of them. So today is a big day. Usually, I might add, this is the, maybe this is the last Friday they're meeting. Is next Friday, are we in June? Is this the last Friday in June? Of course it is. Well, does the world turn fast? Well, this is the traditional day for all the big decisions.
Just let him know
that they had trouble reaching easily. These are the decisions. Think of it this way: if you're at home, these are the decisions where you want that extra minute to buy. Do you want that washing machine or that washing machine? And you can't make up your mind. But today they're both on sale, and tomorrow they're not going to be, and you'll never be able to buy them again. So today is the last day before. Oh my goodness! Every once in a while they put one over until the summer, but that's like a great disgrace. So what were they? Let's go through them. There was, this is not in any order of importance, because the importance of these may rest with you, rather than, in a way, I've always found that these Supreme Court decisions, maybe you get a Brown versus Board of Education, or like the decision on abortion several years ago. But usually these are more at this level, ones that have different areas of great interest. The first one being the Birthright Citizenship Bill. Of course, that has national and international implications, and an implication for how we can protect or not our sacred nationality, our what we particularly created here as a nationality, because the American nationality is created by years and years of immigration, and second word, write it in as big letters as immigration, assimilation. Immigration and assimilation. The court rules 6-3 that the lower federal courts cannot block a policy for the entire country. They can still block individual cases, but no more blanket bans. So, a judge appointed for the Southern District of New York, the oldest district in the world, in the country, otherwise known as the Mother District. And sometimes it thinks because it was the first, it's the most important. It is the best. Well, that's because I was there, and the U.S. attorney, and an assistant U.S. attorney, and a law clerk. But it is not more important than any other district. It just covers Manhattan, the Bronx, Westchester, Putnam, Rockland, a couple more counties. They keep taking them in and out. That's it. Its ban has nothing to do with Selma, Alabama, or Los Angeles, California. That's what they're saying. Federal judges have recently taken on the imperial presence. I'm a judge for the Southern District of Florida, and I can stop deportation all over America, including Alaska and Hawaii. It says Southern District of Florida on your appointment for a reason. The judges made what was now a decision based not on just precedent or law, but it's called intelligence and common sense. And they said the ruling allows Trump to limit birthright citizenship and to move forward on that basis until they can make a final ruling. A blanket ban does not apply. So in New York, in that district, geographic district, if you say blanket citizenship means everyone who gets born in the United States, even the mama who sneaks over the border, catch this one, We never saw her. Biden never had anybody watching. We never saw her. She has nothing to do with America. She's the mother of the head of the Mexican cartel, and she sneaks over the border, gets all the way up to Dallas, has her baby in the Dallas hospital. Well, that little son of the cartel is now a baby in the United States. Now we go about to extradite mommy and the wife of a cartel leader, and the wife of the mommy says, "You can't separate me from the baby." You can't separate me from the baby. No, I didn't sneak over. They pushed me over. Oh, in other words, they push you over. You don't want to be here. Wouldn't you like to voluntarily go back? No. I'm claiming asylum. What's the asylum? My husband is the head of the cartel. He's killed 400 people. They're going to execute him in Mexico. Therefore, I'll be persecuted. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, well, you go to, let's see. Let's go to Colorado. Governor Feliz Navidad will give you money. That's over now. Except within the limited jurisdiction. I do say it gives me extra hope. So all the conservatives, people with common sense in the country and who have not been brainwashed, say this is a win for checks and balances. Judges can no longer overstep their strict jurisdictional appointment. When judges like the idiot who lectured, the idiot who comes from Supreme Court Justice Bremer, who said, "Don't you know you have limits?" And the government lawyer who could have gone right to the top for me if he had said, "Don't you know you have limits? And yours are as strong as mine because they're in the Constitution. And all three branches are limited by the express power given to them, and you were not given the power to grant nationwide jurisdictions except to the one court, and that's the one that's way above you, Justice Pipsqueak, with great delusions of grandeur." So, if you go in front of a district, you're getting somebody out because they weren't born in the United States. If it's Los Angeles or San Francisco, you're stuck. The judges are probably going to decide birthright citizenship. But I don't know, if you're in a place that still has American courts, you might get a more sophisticated decision that goes back to the Federalist Papers and the purpose, not the Federalist Papers, the secondary sources, and the purpose of the amendment back at the time of Reconstruction. And you'll find that it doesn't mean everyone born in the United States. It includes under the jurisdiction of the United States. And that is broader than just a criminal jurisdiction of the United States. And you'll get a ruling that you can be thrown out. So let's see. And then it goes much further than that. It applies to all those cases like the people who were sent to El Salvador instead of sent back to their native country and were ordered back to the United States. One little creep, because he has to fix in with the Senate, with the Democrat Senate, got back. Supreme Court has now ruled, by the way, that was limited just to that jurisdiction. And I don't know what they would rule on whether it applies once he's out of the United States. We'll find out. Okay? Then in another case, the court sided with the parents in Maryland, allowing them to remove their children from reading sessions that include books featuring LGBTQ. And I believe there's a mistake here, Ted. LGBTQ plus.
IA plus.
When did A come in? I must have been sleeping for an hour.
And the I. No, you're never.
And what is A? Here's a test for you.
Oof.
What? Oh, you have to look it up?
No.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe it's
He's a lot more
androgynous.
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 That usually meant nothing. You're nothing.
And I think that is. I think you're nothing.
Can I do an imitation of androgynous?
Yeah. What about intersexual? What do you think intersexual means?
How do I know I'm androgynous?
Intersex.
Intersex, you go back and forth. Isn't that bisexual?
Intrasex? Inter or intra? Yeah, that's the I though. LGBTQIA. Two. There's two. There's a two in there too.
Yeah, Q is at the end, but they don't have a plus.
Man, the LBGTQ, that was so 1990.
It says LGBTQ, but no plus.
Wow.
What did plus mean? Anything?
I think the plus is like a catch-all.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So too, it
Yeah.
meant like 50 others.
Yeah. But sometimes they'll write out half of the other 50, and then they'll still put the plus at the end.
Well, this is another big win. Parental victory, parental rights victory. There weren't associations fighting really for parental rights until I trace the beginning of this counter movement, which is now bigger, I think, than the movement. The movement is to destroy any concept of gender, sexuality, difference, ultimately any concept of God or humanity. Remember, a lot of God and humanity rests on the first book of Genesis and the first chapter of the book of Genesis. Man made them man, and God made them man and woman. He made them man and woman. Repeated twice. I believe it's the 20-something chapter. 27th verse of the first chapter. Right there, beginning of God's revelation of man. God made them man and woman. And then he had an and all the people who want to destroy it have their mouth open now. What will and be? No, and wasn't L, and wasn't G, it wasn't B, T, or Q. Wasn't even plus. You know what and was? Man and woman he made them. He repeated it twice. God is not used to repeating things twice. I believe, and see if the rabbis agree with me, got to be over the thousands of years of the first book of Moses, that some rabbi argued the following. This is particularly important because God repeated it. I'd be shocked if some brilliant rabbi, and they are brilliant, the guys who debate the Bible, you should go to their classes sometime in a Hasidic community. Brilliant. Stop your prejudice. They're brilliant. So there we go. One of the earliest revelations of the explanation of us from the Creator who made us is now reaffirmed. And thank you to the parents, and we've met some and had them on, and we'll have more of them on. This is one of the most exciting movements in America, when the parents rose up after the pandemic to save American education. And if they can do that, we will not have made America great again. We will have made America greater than we ever thought it could be great. Next decision. Oh, that decision was Mahmoud versus Taylor. Just no hidden meaning here. Just Taylor won and Mahmoud lost, right? Then we have, or it could be the other way around. Could be the other way around. I don't want that to suggest some of the biggest and strongest supporters of parents' rights. Get ready, any of you who are prejudiced, Muslims, non-extremist Muslims, of which there are a majority. Biggest supporter, lots of money from them during the movement. The third one is the court upheld Texas law requiring websites to verify age before anyone can access porn. You got to be over 18. And we're doing pretty well so far, huh? The liberals argue it raises concerns about adult privacy. Why? If you're over 18, you can watch anything you want. How does that raise? Oh, do you have to give identification? Is that what they're saying? You have to identify yourself for watching porn. Well, I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure of that. It would raise an arguable issue if that were the case, but they obviously have overcome that issue. I mean, that's an issue you could argue or conclude on either way, and they may have concluded or they may not have. But I'm not. I'll have to read that. I'm not actually sure what. And the supporters say We shield them from things like cigarettes and alcohol. Why not youngsters from porn? I think if it reached into adults, you would get into the libertarian, even the libertarian conservative group, although there's a split there, right? Okay. Next one is Kennedy versus Braidwood Management, Inc. The court decided 6-3 that members of the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, which set guidelines for free preventive health care services, are inferior offices of the United States. That means their appointments are valid and their recommendations must continue to be covered by insurance without copays. I assume that upheld Secretary Kennedy. It supports administrative stability and avoids disrupting healthcare due to technicalities. Now, this may be sort of a neutral, that may have been a neutral ruling, in fact, rather than just conservative or liberal. FCC versus consumer, FCC versus consumer research. Well, let's go, we have on the line from the White House, and we'll go back. We've got two more decisions to cover here, which are of great importance. I think we've done them in maybe in order of importance. With our White House correspondent, Kara Castronova, and it was quite an eventful day in the White House. Kara, tell us what happened.
It was an eventful day, Mr. Mayor. President Trump came to the briefing room in a surprise visit. It was announced at 11:09, I believe. We all got the email for 11:30, so we all ran into the briefing room, and the president came out with Pam Bondi and spoke to the press, which he's only done in the briefing room one time so far. Obviously, the president takes questions all the time on the grounds of the White House, but to see him in the briefing room today was really special, and I actually got a question in that's getting circulated a lot on social media.
I want you on. This is a big day for Kara. You asked,
it is a big day.
Question in the briefing room. I mean, you've already
and in the
asked
Oval Office.
a viral question. Isn't this great?
Yes, thank
tell us
you.
about it.
So I asked the question that we all want the answer to. Will a special prosecutor be assigned, which the president has said he will or she will be assigned to this 2020 election? So many people still have questions. A lot of the people that watch Lindell TV, and I'm certain the people that watch the Rudy Giuliani show and Mr. Mayor's live show also want to know if there's going to be an actual investigation into the 2020 election. And MSNBC was so offended by the question, they actually cut out. They cut out to reassure their audience that there was no proof that the election was stolen or anything like that. And that's not what I asked. I asked about an investigation, Mr. Mayor, and I have that clip for you and we could play it. I also asked another important question. Would the president consider a special prosecutor to look into the rogue judges that politically persecuted his allies, his friends, his family, and the president himself during the Biden administration? Yes, and I thought it was important because Pam Bondi was right there and she smiled and she heard it. And as you know, I was the first person to ever ask about the auto pen, and then it really took off. So hopefully this will too. Hopefully the president does announce, and I'm putting this into the universe, a special prosecutor to look into the rogue judges and the DOJ that were allowed to politically persecute people like you, people like Mike Lindell, Steve Bannon, Jay Sixers. These things have to be resolved, I think, before President Trump leaves office in a few years. So I have the question if you want to hear it from today.
Of course.
2020 election, is there any more information on the special prosecutor? So many Americans still have questions about the 2020 election. And speaking of rogue judges, would you consider appointing somebody at DOJ maybe to investigate the judges that allowed for the political persecution of you, your family, and your supporters during the Biden administration?
I love you. Who are you?
I'm Kara from Lindell TV.
Well, it's just a very nice question. And it's not a setup. I have no idea who you are, but I appreciate that question. All I can say is we're not here for that. I hope so. I hope they're doing a thing because that election was rigged and stolen, and we can't allow that to happen. You know, a lot of people tell me, sir, you just won the greatest election in the history of our country. You won at numbers that won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything. Sir, go on with your life. And many people that say that, good people, friends of mine, then you have people that say that same thing, go on with your life, but you have to find out what happened because you can't let that happen again. Look at what this lunatic did. Look at what he did. He opened our borders to people that were murderers, 11,888 to be exact, murderers. And we've captured many of those murderers, and we're bringing them back, or some of them are so dangerous that we don't even want to bring them back. We're afraid they're going to try and come back in.
So
That's
when
the most important question asked by a reporter this year in the White House, and you saw the president's reaction. If you need any affirmation that that was the most important question from the point of view of his agenda and the good of America and straightening America out, you should be very proud of yourself, Kara, for asking that
Thank
question.
you, Mr. Mayor.
And
Thank
and
you.
for the president's and for his spontaneous reaction. How often does he react that way? Not very often.
Not often, but no, he doesn't. So
So it
I don't
sounds
think
to
he's
me
used
like-
to actual real questions from reporters. Unfortunately, the mainstream media specifically fixates on certain agendas that are unfair. So he actually hear a reporter asking a question that a lot of people, more than half the country, want to know the answer to, I think was surprising for the president, and he was pleasantly surprised. And I actually had another question. I don't know if you saw that one in the Oval Office today.
Please,
when
let
the
me
president
make one more
was.
comment on this.
Go
Let me
ahead,
make one
Mr.
more
Mayor.
comment on why your question was so important. You had there the number 1 and number 2 people in the Justice Department, a department in which I was the number 3 person. They heard the question. They heard the answer. You will now get action. They heard how enthusiastic he was. And when you hear him that enthusiastic, he doesn't even have to turn around and give you an order. So go ahead.
President Kara Castronova from Lindell TV. Now that your administration, and congratulations, has secured peace in Africa to a bloody, horrific war that's gone on for decades and no other president could do it, do you think the mainstream media will finally...
I love her, I'm telling you. But you're right, no other president could do it. They tried, and they didn't even try, I actually don't think they tried. Do you think Biden tried? He didn't know he was alive.
Do you think the mainstream media will finally give you credit where credit is due?
No, the media will never give me credit. But the people give me credit. That's why I'm here. The people didn't give me. That's why we're here in a landslide. We got all 7 states. We won the popular vote. So the media won't give me credit, but the people give me credit. That's more important.
Excellent.
So that was in the
excellent
Oval
day.
Office.
Yeah, great credit. Makes it all worth it, Kara. Just today.
It does. I know today was definitely a good day to get 2 questions in with the president and to get recognized. Obviously Lindell TV is here every day working so hard to talk to the audience about the truth and report the truth and the facts. So to actually get to be in the Oval Office, to witness that peace agreement being signed, which is a really big deal. That war has been going on for decades. It's a very bloody, bloody war, as the president said. And, to be able to acknowledge that was an honor.
Well, I'm going to tell you, there's another piece of news that comes out of that NBC walked out. It shows that NBC is what we know it is, a corrupt agency. It's not a broadcast agency. It's a complete creature of the left-wing communist liberal agenda. NBC, unbelievable, walks out when you're asking him a question. When you're asking him a question about something of great importance, but they don't like it, so they walk out. Unbelievable.
Right.
Well, great work, Kara. Enjoy yourself.
You too,
We should
Mr.
celebrate
Mayor.
tonight.
Thank you.
All right.
I
take
will.
care. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after, I think, a big win for Lindell TV, a big win for the White House, and a big win for the American people. I'll explain the significance of that.
With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with AirWaterHealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of healthcare in this country, and boy, that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off, site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast, straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com, Lindell. Promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysis are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups. I have dedicated my life to ensuring that people get the best sleep ever. And in addition to owning a MyPillow, I can now sleep well at night knowing that you can all protect your savings with precious metals with Fisher Liberty Gold. With Fisher Liberty Gold, you can sleep well knowing that your retirement is secure. And if you call now, you're going to receive your very own presidential gold guide and qualify for up to $20,000 in free silver. But wait, there's more. Call now or text metals to 26786 to receive your presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty. And for a limited time, I will send you a free MyPillow for qualified accounts. This presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty will tell you exactly why you need to own gold even while Donald Trump is president. And just by calling in, you get a free MyPillow for a limited time for qualified accounts and up to $20,000 in free silver. So don't wait. Call 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today. That's 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today to receive your free MyPillow and up to $20,000 in free silver. Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally.
This is Rudy Giuliani, and I'm back on on the Rudy Giuliani Show. America's Mayor Live is on at 8 later. And you just saw, I think, a historic occasion. And that is that a reporter from a non-broadcast network that used to dominate until President Trump came along because we didn't have free speech in America, but from Lindell TV, a very, very fast-growing First Amendment station, meaning we cover everything, got to ask questions, and boy, did she take advantage of it. She asked probably one of the best questions asked this year, and got a reaction out of the president like, well, what did he say exactly?
He promised everyone, because he heard it with Lindell TV and he knows Mike, of course. So he promised it wasn't a setup. You know, he didn't know Kara personally, but boy, what a question. That's
and he does know her personally. Kara Castronova set up, and you'll remember this if you followed the campaign. She is the one who set up his visit to Harlem, because she went there earlier, about 4 months earlier, and interviewed people it really is in what we would call Spanish Harlem, and which isn't called that anymore because it's kind of integrated quite a bit. But she went there, and all she got were very positive comments about Trump, and it was on Newsmax. And I asked her afterwards, kind of teasing, Kara to just set that up a little bit, like you went to people and you said, no, it's unbelievable, Rudy. I almost didn't want to stop. I wanted to get somebody. He should make an appearance there. And I put her in touch with them, and we got a group of other people behind it. And eventually, during one of his trial days that got canceled or shortened, he just all of a sudden decided to make a trip up there. Well, I think the next day was going to be shortened.
Right.
He made a trip up there the next day, and it was a wild success. And it began early in the campaign, the question that ended up being answered, yes, would he get a much bigger percentage than anyone ever before of the Hispanic vote? So that's Kara. She also is one of the prime experts on January 6th. She covered it back and forth. She ran for the New York State Senate very credibly in the Democratic district and almost won. And she was a female boxing champion who doesn't think you should fight males. I hope. Well, if I counted up the scorecard from the Supreme Court, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 6 clearly very strongly conservative decisions. The Supreme Court got rid of these unconstitutional blanket bans that have been a real interruption, if there's been any interruption, to the Trump revolution by holding it back. A judge in one singular district enters a national ban. So what did the judge in Boston do in banning something in Alabama? Supreme Court said, you can't do that. It's unconstitutional. It's beyond the limits to government that you're constantly expounding on. Number 2, the one that started with one of the hidden assholes in the Clinton administration, the former governor, McAuliffe of Maryland, who also was the guy who sold the Lincoln bedroom. McAuliffe made the most idiotic statement of any gubernatorial candidate in the last 100 years when he said that what are parents doing interfering in education? I mean, after all, the state knows better. Thank you. It shows you read Karl Marx. Thank you, Karl. Thank you, Frederick Engels. Thank you, communist. And thank you, Clinton Crook, because you just won the election for a Republican. And you began the parents' rights movement. Who brought this case? And the parents' rights movement won in the Supreme Court. They are now allowed to remove books from the libraries of their children, and their views are paramount. Because the primary guardian of a child until they're 18 or over are their parents, not the apparatchiks of the state. It's no longer your child belongs to me at 2 years old, says Adolf Hitler. 2-year-old belong me, says Mao Zedong. 2-year-old belong to me, says Joseph Stalin. Or all year long, forever and ever, belongs to their parents that was selected in the great scheme of things by God Almighty. That's the rule, the last one. Okay, Supreme Court upheld that, kicked out the crazy liberals. They may be showing up in the court less, which means you'll be able to go to the court because it'll smell better. Finally, another conservative victory. You have to verify age. You have to be 18 if you want to look at dirty pictures. Right? Not bad. I mean, adults can do it. They're able to make decisions. We can't legislate perfection, but we can guide children. Again, affirming the basic core of the Ten Commandments, that the guide for children that is never perfect. There are some bad parents. Every once in a while, the state has to intervene with abuse. But by and large, the rule should be parents should guide children. The state doesn't even guide anything, so and doesn't do a good job in most cases of anything. They're not going to do a good job with children. The best thing they do when they're operating as a state is they know how to fight wars, like ours. The next decision, Kennedy versus Braidwood Management, I'd consider almost a neutral decision. The court decided that the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, which decides on free preventive care for certain cases that should be continued without insurance, that they are inferior offices and therefore are exercising government power. Now, the conservatives support it. I mean, the conservatives support this administrative ability because it avoids disrupting health care due to technicalities by appointing officials. And the liberals are concerned, but they're not dead set opposed to it. So I consider this almost neutral, leaning right. The court upheld a multi-million-dollar fund that provides subsidies for rural or low-income phone and internet service. They rejected a non-delegation challenge. This would be a left decision because even though conservatives accepted it isn't like a horrible victory, it is a little bit of a contrary decision to the constriction the courts are making on administrative powers. Because the administrative branch of the government is the non-constitutional branch, the branch that if it doesn't fall under complete executive or legislative domination, becomes another legislature or another president. So I would say this is the only one that goes in that direction. But it's a very, very complex issue. And the final one also has a little complexity to it, but intelligent. Citizens do not have a constitutional right to challenge a consular visa denial for their spouse. Okay? Which leaves them unreviewable because the person can't. So this is strictly a conservative victory, but conservatives have slightly of a split view here because it breaks up families. So you have 4 clearly conservative decisions and 2 neutral decisions, one that leans conservative and the other that leans left. That's a balanced Supreme Court. I don't agree with all these decisions. None of them are stupid. None. Even the liberal ones have logic to them. I hope this indicates, because this is the last big day of the term, I hope this indicates a Supreme Court that is more balanced than we thought. Remember, we had Justin Ketanji Brown issue a conservative opinion for a unanimous court this time. Unremarked or not discussed by the liberal media, because they are, I'm going to tell you, I know lawyers, I know them better than others. The lawyers are frightened out of their minds by seeing that. They're frightened out of their minds. If she ever goes neutral on them, they're finished with destroying America. They're pretty much finished with it anyway in the court. And for all the worries about Coney Barrett, what did I tell you these opinions were? 6? What do you think she voted? What do you think her concurring opinions were? So, yes, there'll always be an exception here and there. And every once in a while we'll say, oh my goodness, why did the judge go that way? But you have to understand, if they're good judges, they are independent-minded, and they are conservative. But to be a really good judge, you can't be a knee-jerk conservative or a knee-jerk liberal. You got to be a knee-jerk constitutionalist. And you and I can look at the Constitution, both be conservatives, and have a somewhat different view of it. So as long as that's what we're talking about the country the founders put together once again. This is a big, big year for the Supreme Court. Yes, some disappointments, tremendous victories. And then, by and large, on the decisions you don't pay attention to, fantastic common sense, including by some of the liberals. What can I tell you? Okay, Ted, you get to pick. What next?
Well, let's talk about you know a little bit about this this city and this race.
Oh, I guess isn't that amazing? New York City rises to the international level. This is an international story. I took a quick peek in some of the international press. England, the China Daily, the newspaper, the 2 in Italy, and one in Canada.
Do you read those in Italian or English?
Front page, New York election.
Right.
And except for China, where they're cheering like hell.
Oh.
Great concern, even on the part of the left-wing papers in Europe. I don't really think they believe it. They never accepted the fact that New York is almost as liberal as Los Angeles and San Francisco. We're just not quite there. And there was a reporter the other night who said that, either on Fox or Newsmax, because that's all I watch. Could have been CNN, which I occasionally go on when I want to, like I'm getting tired and I want to wake up, I'll know I get angry, I put CNN on. So one of them said, the worst thing about this is we have the city now, the liberal city, left-wing city, compromised city, all of them Democrats, all of them drowning in Crown and red ink. And this was the one city that could go Republican. After all, it elected Giuliani and Bloomberg. Let me correct him. It elected Giuliani. Bloomberg turned out to be a Democrat eventually. But they elected him as a Republican one time, maybe 2 times, and then he quit. Lindsay was elected as a Republican one time and got thrown out and became a Democrat. The only 2 Republicans to remain in the last 100 years plus are Rudolph Giuliani and the airport, LaGuardia. That's it. Tough being a Republican in New York. If you want to know, 2 of the 4 quit. And they were doing a good job. Well, no, Bloomberg was doing a good job. John may be one of the architects of New York goes way left. Now New York has gone way communist. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not play euphemisms. Let's not play, we're afraid to use the word communist like we used to be afraid to use the word socialist. If we're afraid to use the word communist, we'll all be using it in 8 or 10 years. The guy's a communist. The guy says things that should open up for a national security investigation. I would be outraged if they gave him clearance. I'd be as an American, I would say, the people do not determine a national security clearance. That is that's a decision that's made by strict professionals in the best interest of you and me, not just the people in New York. Because the secrets we give him about New York could pertain to an attack that he could help somewhere else. Now, are you telling me that I think he's a traitor? I do not know. 100% do not know. If you're telling me as a professional law enforcement officer and prosecutor, and one of the people that knows the constitutional best in the country, it demands an investigation. Now, please separate the two things. When I say something demands an investigation, I do not mean that he did it. Let's say we have a wife, we find a dead body in Brooklyn, in a house. Dead, knife there, no fingerprints. Husband was the last one to see her, and he's going to get $2 million from her death. That's all we know. I would say he's a suspect. How do I know he did it? I don't. Things like that happen and the guy did it. Things like that happen and the guy didn't do it. Things like that happen and you don't investigate it, you're fixing the case. You're also creating an opportunity for the person who does get charged for saying that you didn't investigate the case, and therefore just focused in on them as the person who did it. You've got to always be aware of, in an investigation, if you're a good investigator, in order to get the case prosecuted properly, you have to always begin with the number one person with the number one motivation. Because I, as a defense lawyer, will always begin with the person with the number one motivation. And if you charge my client and they didn't, and you didn't properly investigate, I'm going to probably beat you. So the reality is that at this point, we have got to say that this guy talks like an Islamic extremist, supports the Islamic extremists, says hateful things about the United States, hateful things about the Jewish people. I don't know. I think maybe that requires an investigation if you want to give him access to top government secrets that could put American lives in jeopardy in favor of Islamic extremism. If you don't, you sure aren't doing much of a service to those brave people who put their lives at risk for us. And we want to elect somebody who would go automatically on that list? Is New York City crazy? Is New York City crazy? They elected de Blasio. He spent 4 years in office. Most people decided that within 4 years, very quickly, he earned the title worst mayor in the history of the city. Even worse than my predecessor, who up until then had the title, David Dinkins. David Dinkins was the happiest guy on earth. He was going around partying. And then they reelected him when he didn't have a positive approval rating. And I don't know, go find out how many turned out in that election. Like 30% in a mayoral election? And then in the second term, he just continued to ruin New York City. By the time he was finished, he had virtually destroyed every single thing I did and Bloomberg did. He had taken what was considered to be the best example of urban renaissance in America, according to Time magazine in 1998, and that's when I was in office before Bloomberg, into the city that was deteriorating the fastest. That's their trick. Bloomberg handed over to him a really well-fitting business, let's say. He figured out how to screw it up because he was a communist and no one paid attention to it. His mother was a communist, had trouble being promoted at Harvard, then a problem. Now she'd probably be the head of Harvard. And eventually, I think, was removed or not given the job she wanted. Just to make you certain that he was a communist, he went to Cuba on his honeymoon and he supported the Sandinistas against the United States. The Sandinistas are a communist organization. And the words out of his mouth, when you could understand them, and he wasn't half asleep or foggy, were pro-communist and anti-American. But he did have the attribute of being lazy as hell, incompetent as all hell, And therefore, the lefties were a little annoyed with him because they didn't think he went far enough. Adams foiled their plans for this mayoralty as a what we might not think so, but for them would be a moderate. And then, of course, he said some bad things about Biden, and they decided to do a Trump on him, and a Giuliani, and a Bannon, and a Navarro. Because it wasn't just Republicans who opposed him, it's Democrats who opposed him, as they framed. And then all of a sudden, this guy comes along out of nowhere saying the most ridiculous things at these Columbia rallies and everything else. Looks like he's working for Hamas, smells like he's working for Hamas, and sounds like he's working for Hamas. But he says he doesn't. That's good. We can grant him the benefit of the doubt, but he doesn't get the benefit of no investigation. Sorry. Well, that's the candidate for mayor. I think we have here, and I don't have it in any particularly good order, Ted, but I could put it on because it would help the people see it. I think I have right here a list. I hope I have it completely. I have a list of all his programs that are all of his programs. Shall I play it?
It's on. Yeah, I've been playing it.
Okay. I don't know. That's pretty fast. That's pretty fast. So these are all his programs from which one could. That's from the Martha McCallum show. Let's play it. Abolish NYPD. Abolish prisons. Abolish medical bills. Abolish private health insurance. Ban all guns. Legalize sex work. Safe injection sites. End cash bail. Decriminalize drug possession and sentencing enhancements. End all cooperation with ICE. Universal free health care. Free buses for all. City-run grocery stores. New New York City office of LGBTQ plus. And one of those other things there. And also on Sunday, free gladiator bread and circuses at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field. Baseball gone, too much of a middle-class sport. We're going to take the Christians. We're going to take the Christians and have them fight the Lions at Yankee Stadium. We're going to take the Jews and we're going to have them fight with tigers in Citi Field. And just to have some variety, we're going to take people of other religious groups, non-Christian, non-Jewish, and we're just going to kill them in the tennis stadium every other week. That'd be midweek entertainment, covered by Wide World of Sport. And there he is, the great Islamic extremist hope for New York City. Abolish the NYPD. Abolish prisons. I mean,
you can't make it.
How do you get a majority? How he almost got 50? He got 50%. He got a majority of the Democrat vote.
400 and something thousand. What I would say to that mayor is that at least, I mean, low turnout, right? So yeah, is New York City gone crazy? Maybe, but at the end of the day, he only about 400,000 people in a city of what 8.3
No, but count
million.
Democrats. What percentage of Democrats showed up?
I'll dig into those numbers.
We can do the arithmetic. So how many New Yorkers? 8 million, right?
A little over 8 million. Yep.
So but you got to take out the the young. Almost everybody can vote in New York City, even the illegals. So, no, actually they can't, but they do. I'll do a quickie for you.
How many Democrat voters in New York? So
I'm going to say they had about a 35% turnout.
Well, New York City has about 6.6 million registered Democrats.
That's very high because
that might be the state. Sorry, that might be the state.
Has to be because there are only 8 million people in the city, and there are not that many that are registered to vote.
Right. I think that's the state. Let me get the city.
Just take a look. They may just have it. Just put it in for
3.4 million.
What?
3.4 million Democrats.
I'm about right, about a 35% turnout. I bet about 35%.
Let's see how
turnout.
many voted. I'm bringing that NYC mayor, Democrat.
Also, there was a ruling I didn't get in the other day.
Under 30%.
It's still pretty good, huh?
Sorry, that's in. Yeah, we'll get the exact.
Sounded
number.
a little higher than 30% and a little lower than 40%. That's where I would say that's why I picked 35.
Yeah, don't hold me to that figure. So, Mamdani got 43% of the vote.
Yeah.
About 432,000.
And the other guy got
361.
He got about 700. So about 800,000 Democrats voted. No, more than that, about 900,000 because he had the third-party votes. Out of how many?
I would say about 950,000.
No, out of how many?
3.4 million.
That's a third of the vote. I'm Ted.
Yeah.
What do you need to consult that for? Why don't you just press buttons on me?
Yeah.
Why don't you maybe we make a little extra money? We'll put little buttons up here and you can ask questions. And then you use me against Wikipedia and see who was incorrect.
Well,
I'll be more fair. I won't be a right-wing nut. You'll be a left-wing communist.
you are kind of like a human Wikipedia.
a human honestpedia.
Yeah.
As opposed to
Next.
an AI lyingpedia.
So maybe we'll have everyone head on over to X to keep this up, and let's see if we
we'll
can.
discuss lyingpedia. How about that?
Yeah. Okay.
No. You head over there and we'll discuss this. And we got plenty more because we spent a great deal of time on a very historic occasion for us, albeit, and that was Kara asking a question complimented by the great legendary president of the United States. We'll be back. God bless America. We'll see you at 8 right on X. And then we'll be back with you Monday. Weekend coming up. Who knows what can happen? God bless America.